Thank you. Thanks for being here. I'm really happy to be here with you today. Don't hesitate if you have any question during my presentation. I think it's great to have the opportunity to share together. As you can hear, my first language is French. I will do my best to present in English. If there's anything that you don't understand well, feel free to ask the question. It should be a good opportunity to share together. Like Kirk said, my main role are to be the head coach at the provincial level with Athletics Quebec since 5 years. And I'm also in charge of the Laval University cross-country program since 14 years. I think it's important to start a bit with my background, few minutes, because to put some context, I really think as a coach it's important to have a philosophy, and understanding our own background will help to define our philosophy. And definitively, if I look back how I was coaching 10 or 12 years ago, it's different than the way I'm working now. And of course, I hope the way I'm going to coach and my philosophy will still continue to change a bit, and in 5 years, maybe I would present something different. So, like I said, my background as a coach, really early in my career, right after my university degree, I started to be head coach at Laval University, back in the days in charge of track and field and cross country. So the timing was good for me that during my university degree, I was coaching at the CEGEP and high school level. I was lucky enough to have some talented kid working with me since the beginning of my coaching career, and it pushed me to learn very quickly, because back in the days my goal was, okay, I don't want to limit those young athletes who are talented, and I want to learn quickly to help them to develop. So my coaching identity and philosophy is really a fine line between science and art. I think as a coach, we really have to know well the science data about coaching, but I think it's also a mix of knowing the best practice, being able to adapt the way we are coaching based on the athletes, and it's not exactly like you're taking some science data, apply that to the athlete, and the results will come. So that's why I always said it's a fine line between science and art. And I always say the balance is important between hard work and smart work. And if I took my situation 14 years ago when I was starting coaching full-time at Laval, back in the days the program was not really successful at the national level, and the level about distance in the province was not that great. So my feeling was, okay, we're not working hard enough. And that was the beginning of my athletics career. As a coach, we have to work harder. And it gives some decent results back in the days, but I think the difference between my coaching philosophy 14 years ago and now is working hard is important, but working smart is probably more important. So finding the balance. Yes, at some point you have to do hard session, you have to run some decent mileage, but recovery is important, and I think that's probably the main difference between my current philosophy than 10 or 14 years ago. And I really believe coaching is a long-term learning process. If you want to be successful, you have to become a student of the game, know the best practice, and I like to target few areas when you want to step up every year. So it's important to be able to analyze your own practice as a coach and say, okay, where's the gap? And the same way we're doing it with the athletes. What's the goal of the athletes? What's the gap to be successful at the next level? I think we really have to also do it as a coach, and being able to target few area where you want to improve yourself, and that's something I try to do over the last few years. Okay, the main topic of my presentation will be how we help athletes successful at junior and, let's say, under 23 years old to be successful at the national and international level as a senior. And I really like this slide because sometimes we're focusing too much about the specialty of our athletes. So let's say we're talking about a 1500 meter runner, how I can help this 1500 meter runner to be better. to be a better version of himself. But I think we have to have a step back and say, okay, he's not only a 1500-meter runner or a 5K runner or a cross-country specialist, he's a distance runner. And he's not only a distance runner, he's a runner. He's not only a runner, he's an athlete. He's not only an athlete, he's a human. And when you try to focus too much about what kind of specific athlete he is, we are only focusing on a small part of his life, and we have to have a few step back, and if we want to help the athlete to be successful at the next level, at the senior level, we should not only focus on what kind of specific athlete he is on the track, but what kind of athlete, what kind of human he is. Okay, if we want to have athletes successful at the senior level, we need to have the athlete involved, because I think we're not missing talent. Talent is everywhere, but having some talented athletes involved in the process, long time, able to produce their best results at the national and international level as a senior, that's the main challenge. And we have to think about what's the main reason why the athletes / human are involved in sports. And sometimes that's something we forgot. We're really, as a coach, we want to improve every details about the planning, about the tactical skills, about the fitness, the physiology, but we forget what's bring the athletes to the sports and what's the main reason why you will continue to be engaged and involved in the sports. First reason seems to be simple, sometimes too much simple, but we forget it too many times. The athlete will continue if he's having fun and if he's enjoying the process. And for me, it's important at every level. We know that for the kids, but we often forget that for the junior, under 23, and senior athletes. Keep in mind that sooner or later, even if the athlete is competitive at the higher level, if he's not enjoying the process, he will stop, or at least he will not perform at his best. We also have to know that being successful is a main reason why the athlete is involved, especially at a younger age. When the athlete have their first experience at the competition level, if they're successful, if they win a race, they will probably want to go at the next practice and continue as an high schooler. If you come on the last few of your cross-country race as an high schooler, the probability that you will go at the practice and you will decide to practice track and field cross-country on a regular basis are probably low. So it's important to understand that having some success is part of the reason why the athletes are involved in the process. Sometimes they know that, sometimes it's just that way that you're having fun in the process, so you just continue and you want to train more seriously. Social aspect is really important. Mark talk about teammate and the culture that you have in your group. I really saw this value, and I think it's a reason why the athlete will be engaged in the sports and will continue a few more years if they're really enjoying the process and having some fun with other teammates, have a good relationship with their coach, with the IST involved. That's also an important part. Some athletes are involved because it's just an habit. Since few years, they show up at practice week after week, month after month, year after year. It's not only it's not often the best reason, but that's a reason why some are still involved in the sports. Especially with the kids, the teenager, the parents can be a good reason why they are involved. And also some athletes, they're there because they like to push their limit, they like the challenge of training day after day, they like the challenge of competing. So there's probably several other reasons, but in my point of view, that's the main one. And that's the main one we have to keep in mind when we think about how I can help the athlete to go at the next level, how I can help the athlete to be successful. Just keep in mind the reason why the athlete is there at the practice, the reason why the athlete decide to every week put a lot of hours regarding his sports. Those are probably the main reason. An important part of our sports is to go from a level to another one. I like to see it as a youth, junior, under 23, and senior. You can also see it as a high schooler, college, and post-collegiate. And the under 23 category is really important for me because when you do your analyze and